go to Gargano. And who was Almas in Mexico? I can't keep track of all these name changes.
La Sombra.
All right. Well, it's not like I was a regular viewer of his to begin with, but you can tell, obviously, that he's had a ton of experience. Do you know how long he's been in the business?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think it's at least 10 years, though.
Of course, Brian, you provided me with the means of which to watch this match that everybody was talking about. And I know everybody's waiting, oh, here comes Cornette. He's going to unload on the thing. No, I'm not. I'm going to unload on a few things before we finish the program, but not particularly this right now. Once again, Mauro Ranallo is just fucking – he's the JR of today. He's excellent, and if you want to do a wrestling program, I don't know why he wouldn't be your announcer with as wide an audience as possible, except if he doesn't want to, apparently, which may be the case, and I don't blame him. I don't know.
He's the best since JR in 1989 at giving you that feeling of being at a sporting event and kind of lifting you, although he did get a little ridiculous at the end, dirty deeds, thunder cheap, or whatever. That was ridiculous, but he's the best at giving you that feeling than anyone since Jim Ross in 89.
Yeah, and as he gets even a little bit older, he'll probably slow down on a few of those. Yeah, he didn't need to ejaculate in his shorts, but but no, Mauro did a great job. And who was the color guy? Because I missed that, and I was not reminded a ton of times.
I think it was it Percy Watson?
I don't know. But anyway, I was missing Nigel. Let me put it that way. I was missing poor Nigel McGuinness. Was he sick or what? They said something, but I've forgotten what it was.
Yeah, they said he was doing some kind of medical thing, but I don't know what it is either.
Well, we can send
feel better.
Feel better, Nigel, and get back to work quick is all I got to say. Anyway, no, these guys, they did some nice wrestling in the open, and they didn't rush it, and they were technically good with it. And I know I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off right at the top here, but the reason why I can tell Gargano's been around for a while now, but I could tell that Almas was the veteran. They did some nice flippy shit after their nice wrestling, but there wasn't any obvious cooperation. It didn't just break down and get ridiculous. Somebody even tweeted before I got banned, even tweeted a clip of Ricky Starr saying exposing the business in 1953.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's ridiculous. If you watched what he was doing, because A, he was the only person that was doing it. B, he was actually, besides being a ballet dancer and an acrobat, he was also pretty much legitimate as a halfway shooter. He wasn't going to stretch Thez, but he'd take care of himself. He was a big attraction. And the most important thing is the story they were telling was he was flipping and cartwheeling away from his opponent and fucking sticking and running. There was no cooperation. It wasn't synchronized swimming.
Yeah, the complaint isn't about the flip. The complaint is about the guy flipping in what seemingly looks like he's in conjunction with his dance partner. That's what it looks like.
There you go, dance partner. No, these guys had a contest, and they kept it that way. I would say that Johnny Gargano needs to drop that flip dive off the apron if he expects to be walking or working in the next 5 years, flat of his back on the floor. But I was impressed with Almas because he was a good heel. He actually cheated. He looked aggressive, cranking the holes. He has facial expression, which Gargano still needs to work. Gargano, the best facial expression he had was when he would sell and he'd get that blank look and that fucking kind of the eyes would almost fucking loll over. That was fine, but that's really the only facial expression I remember him having in that fucking match. He needs some fire and some oomph. He needs some bass in his voice. I know he'd love to be 6 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier, because then he would have most of the tools to be a top guy. He's not going to main event WrestleMania. I don't think I'm breaking any new ground here. But he's a good looking athlete and he's in shape, but he just badly needs to, I don't know. He looked like a regular, well-groomed guy talking to me. He needs to be more threatening or more intimidating or more something or other. Anyway,
I don't know though.
What do you think? What?
You know what? I think that at a different time that may have been true, but I think we're at a very unique moment where he really is in many ways a representation of a lot of the audience. If you look at what you're seeing in that crowd.
Well, no, I agree with that.
In a lot of the ways that Daniel Bryan connected. Now, it's not going to be that. No. But I think he has a lot of those similar traits with this specific audience. So when you say like he'll never headline a WrestleMania, I can't dismiss that out of hand because he's the kind of guy that through his work, and you see the way people react to his work, and clearly he has an idea of how to put together a modern match to get people really interested. I think he could connect at a level, again, I don't want to compare him to Daniel Bryan, but there could be some of that where the audience really relates to him despite the push, unless they bring him up there and put him in a skirt and kill him, like they do. They screw up everyone they bring up.
Well, and I'll agree with you. He is representative of the audience, but the problem therein is that almost everybody in the audience now looked like 95% guys. 90% of them between 20 and 40, no girls, no kids, no grandmothers. It used to be everybody. What we've got is, yes, he's representative of the audience for NXT, but, and that's where part of the cultural fucking earthquake is coming from, because Triple H is trying to bring the young guys up to when he's running the thing. But Vince, it is like not too hot, not too cold. Vince is too much on all personality and look and selling the sizzle and not the steak. And Triple H has a bunch of steaks that need some seasoning. So they need to meet in the middle somewhere. But I'm just saying, if Gargano he needs some oomph. He needs something there. I don't know what the fuck. But anyway, Almas, great heel. I like the spot where he missed the moonsault but landed on his feet and did the standing moonsault. That actually
that was cool. That was cool. What'd you think of his manager?
That's Thea Trinidad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met her in was it TNA or wherever it was. She's been around but I've met her. Yeah, well, I'll get to that in a second. She was animated at ringside, but I loved the spot they did with her. But these guys, they did good striking spots. They hit hard and they sold well. They paced it well. They didn't rush it. It actually, past 30, I thought they might have both taken a lot of big moves and about might be ready to wear out their welcome, but it was still good stuff and they sold everything well. But they had good counters and reversals and near falls for each other. They obviously know each other's shit. There wasn't a sustained set of heat on the babyface like I like from the old days, but people get bored with that now since nobody really hates the heel or loves the babyface. So, I mean, Gargano was over with the crowd, but I'm talking about real hate and real love. Like either somebody's going to hit the ring and stab fucking Almas, which he's probably experienced more legitimate heat than most of the guys on the roster coming from Mexico.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Gargano, they were cheering for him and they like him and they think he's great, but nobody's going to go to jail to stop somebody fucking with him. So the love and the hate that the two sides of the match used to have from the fans has all gone down into, we're into this guy. He puts on a good performance and we love the story. And it's just not as emotional. Anyway, back to the good stuff in the compliment sandwich. When they started finally doing the dives, they just did a couple, and then finally, Thea, I can't remember her other name, Thea's Hurricane Rana off the apron or whatever, and then the false finish DDT by Almas had them. That was they not only did all that shit right, but they timed it right, and they did it. I always used to tell the guys when we were laying out finishes in OVW, you got to remember that everybody needs to stay busy and everybody needs to stay moving or be accounted for if they're not moving. But especially in a big building, people need to have the highlight or the focus, even if it's only for 2 or 3 seconds, on each specific thing that advances the finish. So even if it's a 4-way and the referee's with the manager, everybody is kind of in place except for that's when the referee shoves the manager off the apron and the tennis racket falls in the ring. Well, then the referee's just leaning out yelling at me and I'm laying there while one of the heels grabs the fucking racket and goes to swing at his baby face. But that baby face ducks it and fucking boots him in the gut and bends him over. And just then in the corner, the other two guys that are fighting, the fucking baby face dumps the heel over the top rope and runs forward and sunset flips the heel that's bent over. You keep everybody moving or occupied, but there's a highlight, a spotlight on each individual component. And so anyway, that was a great succession of little spots there, and the girl spot and the false finish DDT, and the people bought it. That could have been it. And then they kicked it up a notch, bam, because they went right to the cat fight with the girls, which was perfect because now both the guys have time to sell. And also, after you've popped the people on that false finish and popped the people with all that action, and then, boom, right at the false finish, 1-2, and they're kicked out, then the people, settle down, and all of a sudden, you give them something else to cheer about in a completely different vein. So there the girl, oh, shit, now the girls are at it. Boom, and that was timed right. The guys are selling, pop the people in a different way. And then as soon as the girls are out of the fucking picture, there they went to that finally the rope break from the false finish on Gargano's gimmick, right? And that was a great timed rope break, and that was a pop of a different kind because now you'd convince the people, well, we saw the false finish we thought was going to be it, and then the girls have fought, so this is the perfect spot for the finish, and they fucking swerved them. And they bought the rope break. Here's the only thing I would have changed. Because there they had the people. I mean, they had the people throughout the match as they built it, but they had the people 3 strong times in a row in pretty perfect timing. Instead of slowing it down, then they end up out on the apron, and then fucking Almas runs and squishes Gargano in the post, and then brings him in and hits his finish clean 1, 2, 3. It was that was almost a foregone conclusion at that point. It was kind of anticlimactic to me. Not trying to insult him, say it was flat. But I don't see why after that rope break with Gargano's on top and he had that momentum, I maybe would have fucking had it. I don't know what these guys' moves are. But if Gargano, as Almas was staggering up, Gargano went for a big something. Maybe he rolled out onto the apron and went for the springboard where he could hit him with the big Zabada off the top. And right as Almas is standing up, he stumbles accidentally on purpose and shoves the referee sideways. So when Gargano does the fucking springboard, the referee hits the top rope and Gargano falls over it. And there he catches him with his DDT and maybe even put his foot on the bottom rope just for the fuck of it. Because they give the babyface an out, as we used to say. He's got a bitch. He's got a gripe. Well, the guy had his foot on the ropes, and even if that was the case, he wouldn't have got me in that position if he hadn't shoved the ref or done whatever. Make it look like the babyface is going to win and then pull it out from under him a little quicker instead of slowing it down and just kind of doing it. But otherwise than that,
I don't know, though. The crowd was going to be flat, I think, if Gargano didn't win. I think they wanted him to win that match.
But it would have been quicker then. If you know it's going to be flat, then at least make it quick. They wouldn't have known it was coming because they smelled it coming. Once he got squished on the post and got kind of drug in there and set up for the thing, that's why there would have been more of, even if they didn't pop on the finish because the heel won, they would have gone, on the fucking shit, he almost had him. You'd have got a ooh out of him, 1, 2, 3, ding, 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 and now you got your heel with some heat, and Gargano can sell. Anyway, it was a great match. I just, once again, I think that at this point you have these great match, and you call them a modern match. I haven't seen anybody yet, even in something I'm about to talk about, I haven't seen anybody yet that just went out and had a 13-minute fucking fight that just tore the house down and left them fucking screaming. Everything has to be the goddamn, the next evolution of Flair and Steamboat. And they get longer. And if anybody could go back and had this power to do this, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view that we did in Toronto in what was it, 2010? It was Tyler Black and Davey Richards, and I believe that was the same one with the Briscoes and the Kings of Wrestling, Hero and Claudio. I thought that Tyler Black and Davey Richards that night was the modern equivalent of a Flair and Steamboat. They hit hard. They didn't make any mistakes. They had the fucking people with them. It maybe still did a little too much, but, hey, you can always back that up a little, but it meant something, and they were fucking cooking, right? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the same night in Toronto. The Kings of Wrestling and the Briscoes had a completely different kind of match. Instead of an amazing athletic display for 30 minutes or whatever the world title match went. The tag title was a fucking quadruple juice. Hit the ring, we're fucking hot, fighting, brawling, goddamn, just keeping it moving. People going, oh shit, fire extinguishers coming out from underneath, and etc. And violence. I'm not seeing any violence from these modern matches. I mean, it's violent if you stomp somebody's fucking fingers, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not seeing the good old fashioned, we hate each other and we're going to tear this fucking place down. Do they do that anymore?
No, I mean, that's the thing. And it's weird for me because I was a tape trader, in the 90s. Everything now is, seemingly influenced completely by the junior heavyweights in New Japan in the 90s and the false finishes in All Japan matches in the 90s. Because every match is just a bunch of high spots. I mean, I was thinking the other day about the first time I saw the Isai moonsault, the Ultimo Dragon.
Yeah,
the first time he did that, it was like, holy shit. I saw Devin Storm do that and land on his head at a Dennis Carluzzo show.
Yeah, I think I was there.
But it was amazing. Like, I called it when I was like, he's going to do an Isai moonsault. You never saw anyone do that. It was incredible. Everyone does it now. Everyone does all these high spots now.
You remember who I used to manage in my spare time? Vader.
Yeah.
But when Muta did the moonsault here in this country, people in Japan would say, but it did the moonsault, and especially when he landed on his feet and didn't miss it. Holy shit, because it was Muta, and wow, he was a badass. He's Bruce Lee. But then, over the next few years, not only Muta did it, then the 400-pound man did it. Then Terry Funk did it when he was 55. Then the girls started doing it. And it's like, fuck now, moonsault, what the fuck? I mean, Chris Daniels is still defies gravity, but you know what I mean? They've devalued it. But I guess that's what – and another thing is the crowd, as I mentioned, was all kind of the same age group and genre, which I guess is the fans that are going to go to that event these days. But while they liked it and they were into it, part of the soundtrack of the match, besides the announcers, is that crowd. And – they were popping on stuff, but they weren't going, once again, as they say in the UK, mental. They love the performance and they get into the guys, but they know there's not a real, like, my God, this is my fucking college team in NCAA like it used to be every week. People hopping up and down and jumping and cussing. And the guys have to do 5 times as much as they used to get a fraction of the response now. But once again, you don't have to make it so silly or choreographed that it defies any effort to view it as a contest. And these guys didn't do that. They were having a match, and they did. Now somebody's going to send me some kind of fucking comedy bullshit footage. Gargano was involved in somewhere and ruined my opinion of him, I guess. But from what I saw here, they did a very good job. Gargo. Gargo the Wonder Horse.
But that's the thing, though. I said it's the New Japan junior heavyweights from the 90s and those All Japan false finishes, which, look, I love those tag team matches as much as everyone, but every match now is a guy kicking out of the other guy's finisher 5 fucking times. And the sad thing is the other thing that tape traders loved were stuff from the 80s with really good angles and really good promos. And that's what's missing. That's why the heat's not there. You don't have promos that connect, and you don't have angles that connect. So if you have the matches, that's great. Although if everyone's working the same kind of match in a main event spot, then it really defeats the purpose. But there are no hot angles and there are no hot promos anymore.
And once again, we don't have to go back to cutting our heads off with razor blades, but there's no reason why that just some of the little tricks couldn't be used. Why the next time that a babyface really gets fucking pissed off and gets done wrong and fucked over at an angle, the heel's in the ring, and why does the babyface come from the side fucking door with a goddamn, a board in his hand? Or something to get the people up from the start. And the Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton, that version, Dennis did this all the time, and he used to love to, when we'd be in the ring and like Magnum TA and Wrestling 2 would hit the ring and they'd jump the Midnight Express right off the bat while they're still in their robes, and they'd shoot them off and they'd give them backdrops or something while their robes are on. So the robes are flying and everything. But one night, 2 shoots Dennis off, and as he comes off, he's got the robe on. He gives him a gut shot, and Dennis is wearing the tag team belt. 2 almost broke all his knuckles. But just some more excitement like that instead of just going through everything. And I'll tell you one thing on this match also. I forgot to mention this. I almost turned it off when I saw the fucking masked luchador violin section coming out. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Well, that's their thing on those takeover specials. At least the main event matches, but sometimes some of the other matches, they give them really spectacular entrances. Well,
but I'm just, it didn't exactly rank up there with the Undertaker getting the Druids with the torches. It looked a little ha-ha. But maybe that's Almas. I don't know. I haven't seen him